Hey, welcome everyone to Business Opportunity Live. I'm Jeff Cohen, your host, and I am super excited to have two super fun people here. Now, I know Gene does taxes and he's a CPA. Believe it or not, those people can be fun. So Gene Cohen is joining us today, and we have Celeste Young-Ramos. Celeste has been our wealth of knowledge when it comes to what is the most up-to-date information on some of these federal programs, what are some of the state and local programs that are available, and most importantly, how do they affect specifically restaurants? So today's restaurant edition is going to talk about restaurants and tax issues and issues with some of these programs. And before we jump into that, I'm going to just do what I've been doing, which is I'm going to share with you guys a little bit about my journey. So I've been hearing that, especially from my bank and others, there are just so many of us that are applying for the PPP program that you should just apply as much as you possibly can. So yesterday I successfully completed my second application with another financial institution. Now I have two applications outstanding. My intention is only to take one. My concern is that not even one of them is going to make it to the top of the pile. So like I'm with my bank, and I've filed with my bank, and then I've also filed with my credit union has a company that they're using, and that company, I started filling the form out a week and a half ago, and it got stuck. Yesterday, I was able to get back into the form finally, and when I did, they said, hey, we have another financial institution we're referring people to. If you don't have the ability of providing these forms, though, forget it. So I completed the form with my existing institution. Now I have two, and I'm debating about doing a third. Maybe we'll get some insight about how good of an idea or not so good of an idea that is. But I know that a lot of you that are out there listening and watching and looking to see what it is that you could do or what would benefit your business and your employees, and you're really looking hard to find it, I know that you're struggling just like anybody. What do I put on the form? How do I fill the form out? Listen, I had an email from one of our viewers last night and spoke to them today. They're like, hey, can you help me? Yes, I can help you. And I'm more than happy to. I filled out forms for myself and with other people. And, if you need assistance, my email address is right here on the screen. Please reach out to me. If you're concerned and you're holding back on filling the form out, don't go it alone. Reach out. I can help you. It's really affordable to do. And I'll be with you the whole way. So I invite you to do that. And I want to thank Celeste, who I'd love to have on first and share with us, like, what's going on in the world of all of these, programs that you're watching and clients that you're working with, and, where are people at on this stuff today?
Well, the good news is people are starting to see funds coming through. So I've probably had 50% of the people that I've talked to this week that I had talked to that had already filed for PPP, that they're getting funds. So that's really encouraging. Now their question is, what do I do with them? As you know, you need to spend 75% of it on payroll. But I saw an article the other day where it was in a restaurant magazine where they had two people that used two different scenarios. One of them, they followed it and they spent 75 on payroll. And then they spent the other 25 on rent, utilities, and mortgage interest. And that was their plan. But then the other people, their plan was that I'm just not even going to use any of it for that. And I'm just going to hold the money because I don't know what it's going to be like later. I'm a little worried that could get them into trouble because that's not how the loan was set up. But I don't know, Jeff, later, when we get to our other guest, if he'll be able to give us any insight on that. But
I promise Gene will have some insights, Celeste. Gene always does.
Okay.
Yep.
So what I'm seeing is that sometimes people are even filling out the application wrong, because what they want to know is, like, people are getting confused with full-time equivalent employees and the number of employees they have. And if they look on their Form 941, it'll tell them how many employees were paid during the quarter they were looking at. But that means it's counting also the turnover of people and might not be the stable number. So I was looking at an example today where it actually made a 33% difference in what the people should have reported. Like it said they should have, off of the payroll report, it said 133 people. They had a lot of turnover, and it turned out that they really only will have about 100 because you're going to have to base it on last year's full-time equivalency. So it's like you need to make sure your full-time equivalent is how many hours you paid out divided by 40 hours. And that'll give you what your full-time equivalent is. So that'll make a big difference on it.
Hey, Celeste, I have a question for you. I've been getting questions by people that are solopreneurs. A lot of them are LLCs, or even they might even be C corps, but they want to know if they're not actually paying themselves a salary through a payroll service. How can they prove their income?
Okay, I can answer that one for you. If you're self-employed and file a Schedule C, the profit on your Schedule C is considered your wages.
But if you're like a C corp, and you're getting like what we did for me at the end of last year, which is true up the entire year with one check on 12/31.
Yep, you fall under the standard employee rules, because if you're working for your corporation, you're an employee. But if you're a Schedule C filer, you're no one's employee. So they're basically accepting your Schedule C, and the profit you made in your business is considered your wages. That's my understanding of it. When you're dealing with partnerships or K1s from LLCs, they're accepting the income that you've earned from your K1 or your share of it to be your wages. And I just had 2 clients this morning that are filling out their PPPs, and the lender would not accept it because they're both members of an LLC, and they would not accept the LLC's income statement. And they wanted to see not only the K1s, but their individual income taxes that showed the LLC income flowing through to them.
Yeah,
so that's not that they didn't accept it. It's that they just wanted additional proof, correct?
Yeah, right. Support, document support.
Yeah,
okay.
At the SBDCs, they're finding, like, when you talk about people that are LLCs or sole proprietors, they're all kind of like shaking their head like they don't know. It's all kind of a case-by-case basis, for sure. One other thing I wanted to bring up, that the pandemic unemployment did open on April 28th for self-employed gig workers and 1099ers. So you can go and apply for unemployment. During the period right now, you'll receive $167 plus $600 through July 31st. And then after that, it'll revert down to $167 a week for the remainder of the 39 weeks you're eligible. And that you would not be able to take during PPP. And you may get a higher amount, up to $450 as the base, if you can prove your income. But right now they're trying to get some money out to people, so they're putting it at that smaller amount, and will justify it and back retro pay it later.
Well, and I'm curious, does that smaller amount trigger the $600 a week from the federal government? Is that what it takes?
Well, even if you get $1 of earnings, you'll get the $600. So if you've had any,
and so that goes back to then
you'll get the $600.
But you've got to be approved by your state unemployment program in order to get the $600.
It's automatic. It's like it'll come. It's something the government's giving, but that's causing problems with people bringing back employees, because some employees are like, well, I'm making $1,050 right now, and before I was only making $220. So The thing is like to get the PPP forgiven, you just have to bring back equivalent full-time equivalents. So you may not bring back everyone, or you can actually not bring some you don't want, but you need to replace it with another body. Otherwise, it could affect your forgiveness level.
Also, for federal income
sorry,
tax purposes.
My buzzer's going off over there. I'll be right back.
Go grab it, Celeste. It's all good. Hey,
for
Tim, why don't you
federal,
share what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, hold on. I just want to throw in is that your unemployment compensation that you get from the state, you get a 1099-G, that's taxable for federal income tax, but not California tax.
Yeah.
Okay.
Throw that out.
You know, sometimes too, like with the employees, you know, you may have to have them look too. If they're on, I'm not sure how like their SNAP benefits or any of their public assistance benefits are affected by this big jump in salary. I'm hoping that it's, you know, they're going to have some kind of ruling there because they're automatically giving it to them. It's not like they're saying, I want it. So it's kind of a lot of questions still out there.
Well,
yeah.
One big question that is starting to show up is something that I'm not going to rant about it right now. I've done enough ranting this week. My wife came down on me for ranting too much this week. But Jean was just sharing that a guaranteed advance is not necessarily a guaranteed advance before the call. And I know that everybody on the call is going to be very interested in this, especially if you've already received money. Because what that means is you've gotten money that you thought was going to be an advance against the PPP, which means that once you get the PPP, you're going to be able to use that money to pay payroll and not have to pay it back. Gene, what's changed?
From the few articles that I've seen on it, they are going to convert some of the grant money to loan money. I've seen some numbers at about 30%. They will just convert back to a loan that you got to pay back for a couple of years at 1% interest. So I've just seen some articles and some emails addressing it, but I haven't seen anything in detail to give you something solid on it. But basically,
so
what seems to be,
and the government taketh away.
What's happening is the government goeth broke, and they are now starting to look at how they can get some of it back, because at this point, the federal deficit is larger than our gross domestic product. So, and I've seen some commentators say it'll take at least 10 years before the government even knows what black ink looks like. So there'll be some strange times ahead with the debt and the politics involved with it.
So what does that mean? What does that mean to the average? What does that mean to the average company that, you know, took the word of the government when the government said, "Hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give you this money. It's a present."
I don't really know, because I haven't seen enough of the detail or when the final authority comes out. Okay, these are more or less just on the fringe of being launched. So honestly, I just don't have enough detail, because I don't think it's out there yet, that will start to explain how they're going to go about getting some of it back.
Celeste, what do you think about that? How do you think that's going to affect people?
Well, it wouldn't be positive, but I mean, they can't go back on the people that have already got signed loans. So I haven't heard anything come through about that from the SBA to the small business development centers at this point. So I can't comment on that. I did want to ask though, you know, the people have an option of taking the retention credits for Social Security and other payroll taxes during this time, but they can't use them during PPP. But I was reading an article where they were saying maybe it's better just to do that than to take the payroll PPP program at all. Do you have any thought on that, Gene? Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I haven't looked deeply into it, but the government is really generous on forgiving payroll taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take a look at it over the long run, because of the periods it's extending, you may actually be better taking the payroll credit as opposed to the PPP.
Yeah, I know.
But
And
it's something you should look at.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, well, everybody's just running to the PPP, and I don't know if they've really conferred with their tax strategists or not, because it looked like it could be a pretty good thing. And some of it was like, like getting a free Social Security for the year, a 6.2%.
No, it's a very nice it's a very nice offset. The PPP was almost like the toilet paper run when this thing started, and everybody just had one thing on their mind: I got to get toilet paper, I got to get PPP. But there were lots of other goodies that came out in the CARE Act, including not paying your payroll taxes when you're filing your 941s. So yes, this is definitely some strategy, is to look at your salaries, look at your payroll taxes, and then run them side by side. But there's also a ton of other goodies in there for businesses, but that's for another day.
Yeah, including sales tax, deferring $50,000 in sales tax for California. So
yes, there's changes in there also. But they're widespread.
Right now,
everybody has. Yeah.
If anybody that's watching has questions, I invite you to enter them in the comments section, so that way Gene and Celeste and I can address them. Go ahead, Gene. I'm sorry for interrupting. I just want to make sure people know that, if they have something that
we're here to answer the questions, spread the knowledge. That's why we're here.
Yep, absolutely.
I just want to say to restaurants really quickly too is that we can't be lax on our sanitation and our food safety right now. We're seeing back east where the sausage, the chicken and pork factories are being closed. That has caused an increase in pork prices to restaurants about 25%, from what I'm hearing from my clients. So they may need to, review their invoices, and they may need to do some price increases during this supply and demand shortage. But it just goes more like we need to really be vigilant on making sure our people are wearing masks, or not coming to work sick. Chipotle just finished getting their $23 million fine for letting people come to work sick with norovirus when they had their issue before. All of these issues where people can get sick in our workplace because we don't provide them enough social distancing space or enough PPP. It could become a workers' comp claim, which can have, devastating effects on their bottom line. So
what do you
think? Just your low-end employee managing that part. You need someone that's dedicated and will really pay close attention and swift action when they see employees doing things wrong.
Yeah, what do you think is most likely to occur, when things start settling down? Do you think restaurant owners are going to do everything within their ability to ensure that employees are wearing masks and ensure that people are staying safe?
Well, they'd be foolish if they don't, because
I think
we're getting more, fierce. And I know California, I was watching, they were talking about, and Newsom right now is deciding, will people that get sick with COVID-19, if they're essential workers, do they automatically become workers' compensation without having to prove it? And they were saying if he passed it, it could cost $33 billion to workers' comp.
Well, everything is going to cost $33 billion. I mean, every decision that they make are billion-dollar decisions. And then the thing that happens is that's at the very top level for the right. And what we're starting to see with some of the things you guys were talking about earlier is, well, okay, our government made some decisions and now they're regretting them.
Yeah. Also,
And
your comments. Yeah, I'm sorry. Also, your comments on the unemployment, the amount of money that the people are getting, plus the government's kicking in the money, is that the California Unemployment Fund is paid for by the employers, not the employees.
Yeah.
And what happens is that when you lay off workers and then they come back or they don't come back, that directly affects your unemployment tax rate.
Yeah.
So with these millions of people who have filed claims, all their employers, come the end of the year, when the state reviews their experience rate, is going to go up. And what's going to happen, the employers are going to have to put their hands in their pocket to pay more unemployment tax because their experience rates are going up.
now,
So
Gene,
it's very
for people
nice
that don't
now, like
understand-
someone's going to foot that bill, and that's going to be the employers of California.
right. So, Gene, just so people understand, when you say experience rate, a lot of people that are employees may not be aware of what that means exactly. Can you share? What does it mean, experience rate?
Yes, the state of California, for every employer, gives you a basic unemployment rate. I think it's 3.5%. On the first $7,000 of wages you pay to each employee. If you have a lot of employees who go on to unemployment, they come back and review it. And what they will do is they'll raise that rate to 3.5, 4%, 7%. I mean, they'll just tack it on. So they have a formula, and depending on the claims that your employees put in against you, that rate goes up and down. But
Okay.
ultimately, all unemployment is paid by the employers.
So
Well-
this is the insurance premium that is paid by an employer for employees that have the potential for being on disability. And so what I'm hearing you say, Gene, is
Unemployment.
No, that's different. That's
Not
SDI.
disability.
That's state disability insurance. That's paid by the employee, not the employer.
okay, so good. So just get like, so if you're confusing, if I'm confused and not hearing it clearly, people watching this may not be. Celeste, you want to take a crack at it?
Crack on what?
Like just helping people know what Gene's getting at with that comment?
Well, definitely. They'll be charged more, and everything's going to have to get passed. I mean, it's like we always say we can pass everything to the customer, but we found in California we can't. And I've seen, business owners just kind of eroding their profit level. The other thing with unemployment is I feel there's going to be a lot of surprise. Oh, these people aren't 1099 employees because people haven't adjusted to the AB5 law. So
Right.
they all of a sudden
ABC,
get hit.
yes.
Yeah, not only that, paying unemployment, but they might even get hit with being charged huge fines for being incorrect on their pay.
Yeah. Wow. So, hey, you guys, we've covered a lot of ground in this
I know.
conversation.
We've really been all over the place.
Compliance
Yeah.
can be a killer.
I feel
know.
like,
I
well,
spend more time with compliance than almost anything else.
Yes.
but you know what?
You got to save your profit.
That's why we're here, because there are a lot of business owners. Their company is not large enough to have someone like you or Gene or me come in and help them with this.
Yeah.
So I kind of view it as our opportunity to help people understand they're not alone when they make decisions like this. And share this with your friends that are business owners too. This, 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day that we spend can be the best time that you've spent for your money when you spend some time with us and you get answers to your questions. So bring your questions, enter them in the comments on Facebook. We'll answer them while we're on the program. I'm going to sign off for all of us today, and for Celeste and for Gene and myself, thank you guys for watching. We'll look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Financial Friday. Todd Gerst will be back. And we'll look forward to being with another restaurant owner maybe next Tuesday And Celeste may surprise us with one of her clients. That would be awesome. And for everyone, I wish you a great Thursday, a super Friday, and an awesome weekend. Take care,
Oh,
everyone.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.